Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Wednesday. So middle of the week hump day today. We didn't do a live stream yesterday because I had a birthday party to attend to. I got home late, didn't get a chance to do a video for you guys. So we're going to talk about what happened yesterday, which we had obviously a couple updates for the miners. We had Cleanspark reporting, Hive reporting, and Riot reporting as well. We have some news stories on Cypher as well. Bitcoin didn't do so well today or yesterday. Yesterday was kind of an interesting day. We'll talk about that, obviously, what happened there. Miners were obviously down, so we have a little correction happening here right now as it is. We'll talk about that. We have some good news stories as well on Bitcoin, other things as well on top of it, and then we'll get into Q&A at the end of it all. All right, thank you so much for coming in, as always. And as always, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. You guys know the drill. All right, let's take a look at what's going on here with the charts here right now as it is. So Bitcoin yesterday had a nice bounce. So somebody was trying to bring it down yesterday. We don't know who that was. It was just probably just an organized effort to bring it down, since we had a nice 5-day run on Bitcoin price going up quite nicely here. We did battle with that 95,000 mark, 94,600 mark, whatever you want to call it. But we battled with that on Monday. We got rejected at that point, right? We got rejected a couple times here as well in the past. So right now that is acting as a resistance. If we can break above this, we should be good. And we talked about that early in the week as well. I talked about it, I think on Monday. I said, right now we got to battle with this. If we can break above it, that's fine. If not, I thought we would probably come down here a little bit as a little correction. And sure enough, we're having that obviously yesterday. But we had a nice bounce there, so that was a good sign. And then today, they obviously tried a lot harder to bring Bitcoin down in price. And they succeeded here, and Bitcoin's obviously down a little bit now as well in the new day. So today we were down approximately 2.61% here on Bitcoin. Markets were down for the most part. Dow Jones was down. NASDAQ was up a little bit. S&P was down. Russell was down as well. Bitcoin was obviously down today. Ethereum, I believe, was also down. I didn't check that one. Yeah, it was down today also. So that one was down here. Who else? Miners were down. Right, so Bitfarms was down here the last 2 days. It's down 2.79%. BitTF was down 3.93% down the last 2 days also. Kango was down 3.18%. Same thing there. Cypher being down also 2 days. It was down 8.32% today for some reason. Cleanspark was down just a little bit today. It was down 0.5%. It is now sitting right on that ledge of the 200 SMA. CORZ was down 3.28%. Was up yesterday actually. Hive was up today 0.33%. It was up yesterday as well. This one's having a nice little run here still. Hot 8 was down 0.81% after being up yesterday. IREN was down 4.98%. Also down yesterday. Mara was down 2.33%. Same thing for them. Riot was up the last 2 days. Was up 1.94% today. Up a little bit yesterday as well. Wolf was down yesterday and down today 5.24%. The Bitcoin holding companies, MicroStrategy, had some good news come out. The MSCI, I think it's called, said that they are not going to delist or not, I think it's delist, but it's where they won't include treasury companies that have Bitcoin, right? So that's not going through. So MicroStrategy is safe there. So that one did okay. It was up 2.44% today after being down yesterday. Galaxy was down 1.78%. Block was up. We had Coin being down. MetaPlanet being down as well for quite a bit, 5.27% there, but it was up yesterday. Exodus was up 1.95%. It was up yesterday as well. Nexon was down after being up quite a bit there. It got to a new high, it looks like here, I think. Yeah, 4,129, and then came back down after that. Similar got down to 2.73%. Phoenix was up today 12.5% for some reason. And then Game was up 3.05%, or GameStop was up. Small miners were down for the most part, except for Argo being up just 1.73%. Bitcoin miner ETFs were down as well, 1, 3, and 1.5%, and 3 and 3/4% roughly. Ether holding companies were down also. Other companies that we track here, pretty much everybody was down here. American Bitcoin was down 3.05%. Wi-Fi was down 5.47%. Open was down 11.69% there for some reason. Oracle, Open maybe I think it was down, maybe because of what Trump said about the houses, right? Where large corporations are not going to be allowed to buy housing anymore. So maybe that one is down for that reason. Oracle was down 0.47%. Nebius was down 4.02%. Soluna here was down 2.25%. Backed was down 2.07%. Fermi was down 10.11%. Meta was down 1.81%. Google was up 2.51% today. Amazon was up 2.26%. Microsoft was up 1.04%. And Nvidia was up 1%. And I can't remember what this one is. Solaris Energy was actually down today. So we were down for the last couple of days. We had a nice run here in the beginning of the month. A little correction here happening, which is I think is fine. I'm okay with it. I actually kind of prefer that it happens. and mainly because Bitcoin, the RSI came down nicely here on the daily, which is nice to see that. And let me see, take a look at the 1 hour chart here as well. 1 hour chart here, we kind of bottomed out, it looks like yesterday. It's obviously gone back up here, and we're down a little bit lower in price here, so I expect that to correct here going forward. 4 hour looks better also. So, you know, the 4 hour chart got definitely overextended here on yesterday, or actually on the 5th. So that was on Monday. So we needed a little pullback, make it healthy, and then go back up here again. I suspect that we might actually end up being in the green here either today for Thursday or on Friday. I'm not sure exactly when, but I think one of those 2 days will be in the green, if not both of them. Okay, so that's where we are right now with that information here. Bitcoin right now for the month of January is up 3.79%. We were up over 6% here just a couple of days ago, so we had a little pullback here. Bitcoin miner ETF outflows, inflows. We had outflows yesterday and today, totaling about 600 million roughly. We still don't have IBIT reporting for today, but I'm guessing probably going to be a little bit more than that. We've had obviously nice inflows here the first 2 days of trading, where we had approximately, what was it, 1.2 billion in inflows. So a little bit of a correction there, like I said. And then some of the good news stories that we do have here. El Salvador continues to buy more Bitcoin. They bought more today as well. They bought pretty much every single day here. So they're not stopping anytime soon here. This is really good news for all of the AI data center players. IREN, Cypher, Hut 8, TeraWolf as well. Who else is in there that's got deals? CORZ Scientific. But all these guys here are going to benefit from this, I think. So Amazon AWS has raised pricing for EC2 capacity blocks for ML by about 15% with H200s based P5E 48x large, moving from 3461 to 3980 per hour in the most regions, and the P5EN .48XL or X large from 3618 to 4161, while US West North Carolina PE went from 4326 to 4975 the register. So that means that they are obviously still seeing huge demand for those machines, and that's why the pricing is going up. The demand is obviously outstanding for it, because if you don't have, it's basically supply and demand economics. If you have more demand for it than you have supply right now, you can raise up prices here. That's kind of what they're doing here. And we've heard this FUD before, where, you know, all of these older machines with the newer machines coming out, they're not going to be worth crap. They're not going to be worth anything. They're going to lose money on them. And now we're seeing the opposite here, right? We've talked about how Google has actually been using still some of their older TPUs for customers and things like that, where those are like 5-7 years old, and they're still generating almost 100% revenue on those. So that's a good sign here going forward for us. The demand is outstanding, and it's not going to stop anytime soon, right? Eventually, I think we're going to get to a point where we are maybe just saturated in the market with all this stuff, but I don't see that being anytime soon for like the next 5 years plus potentially, because everybody and their uncle is trying to get into AI, whether it's for corporate purposes, government purposes, private purposes as well, whatever it might be. That is all trending in that direction here, and that's not going to be stopping anytime soon here. Okay, so this is great news for all those guys. Also, this is good news here for Bitcoin. So Rumble just announced they have launched Bitcoin tipping to its 70 million users. Right, more adoption with Bitcoin. That is a great thing to see, and I love seeing that. The more adoption we have of Bitcoin, the higher the price is going to go, and may actually go up faster for us than what we think, which would be a great thing as well. Next here, we have also this. CNBC reports that Morgan Stanley filing for a spot Bitcoin ETF is a huge endorsement, and they're also, through their brokerage E-Trade, going to let customers directly trade and hold the asset as well. So you have a lot of people that are on E-Trade that will have access to getting Bitcoin directly. Not only that, but obviously the Bitcoin ETF, we'll see if they can compete with BlackRock and IBIT. I mean, that one is the monster here in the room right now. It is the most profitable. It is the biggest one out there as it is. So we'll see how well they compete on that. But nonetheless, more adoption, more ways for people to get into Bitcoin is a great thing here. So I love seeing that as well. And then finally here, we got breaking. IREN officially named as AMD partner at CES 2026, along with 19 companies, including Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. The 20 companies list include Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle, Baba, IBM, Lenovo, Dell, HPE, SMCI, IREN, and DOCN. Then you got Core 42, which is doing some hosting with TeraWolf. Crucial Energy, which I believe that's part of the Stargate initiative there. They're helping OpenAI build out. Humane, I'm not sure about them. Vultr, I'm not sure about them either. TensorWave, I'm not sure about the other ones here as well. But that is a pretty good list to be included in for IREN. So IREN, if you're an IREN holder, be patient out there. Dollar cost averaging if you can. Obviously not financial advice, but I think that one's going to do very well here this year as things progress going forward for us. All right, so that's the good news that we do have here. Right now, let's get into the news stories on the miners that we do have here, or the Bitcoin AI miners, as I call them now. But Cypher welcomes industry veterans Lee Bratcher and Drew Armstrong. So today, the announcement of the appointments of Lee Bratcher and as head of policy and government affairs, and Drew Armstrong as head of strategic initiatives. Mr. Bratcher brings to Cypher extensive industry experience and a deep understanding of the Texas and federal energy regulatory landscape. He previously served as the president and founder of the Texas Blockchain Council, a leading industry association representing more than 100 member companies and hundreds of individual stakeholders focused on making Texas the jurisdiction of choice for digital asset innovation. That is actually a really good get for them, right? This guy's got connections, everything else. He is a really good get for them there. At Cypher, Mr. Bratcher will lead the company's strategy on energy policy, representing Cypher and its ERCOT membership, bolster Cypher's community and regulatory engagement efforts, and help the company continue its record of excellence in refining electrical power into compute. He will report to Cypher's co-president, Will Iwashuk. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And then also Mr. Drew Armstrong here has joined as head of strategic initiatives, reporting to Cypher's other co-president, Patrick Kelly. In this capacity, Mr. Armstrong will lead strategic projects that drive growth to support the company's continued expansion into HPC industry and leadership at the intersection of compute and power. Prior to joining Cypher, Mr. Armstrong was president, chief operating officer, and chairman of Cathedra Bitcoin. We never really covered Cathedra here. They were one of the smaller players out there. I believe from my memory here, I believe that's the case. But so he's obviously got experience there. Which was a publicly traded developer and operator of digital infrastructure in the United States. Prior to Cathedra Bitcoin, Mr. Armstrong was founding member of Galaxy Digital's Bitcoin mining business unit. So Galaxy Digital is the one that has the Helios site. They were the ones that bought that from Argo, if you recall. They also were the ones that are transforming that data center or that Bitcoin mining site into a data center for, we're drawing a blank on it right now. I'm drawing a blank who it's with, but they have a big contract there as well. And they can build that out to even more megawatts there also. So let's see, talked about that. Lease product initiatives, investments in Bitcoin mining infrastructure. Yeah, okay, so we talked about that. So really good gets for both of these. And Cypher's been on a nice roll here recently, which is nice. Stock has done pretty well. It's come back down, obviously, from the highs that we've had here a couple of weeks ago, but everything's come down. As long as they continue to execute, get more sites, build those sites out as fast as they can, because right now, speed and efficiency and execution is critical in the space. I saw a story, when was it, yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Gary, was it Gary? Yeah, Gary sent it to me. It was about CoreWeave being in financial strain, I guess you could say, politely. But they got, obviously, banks working with them to extend out the loans, it seems like, and other things. And that's mainly because they partner with companies that are not able to build out the facilities fast enough for them to start making money on it. So their planning was to start generating money much faster. As a result of that not happening, they're kind of in a cash crunch right now. They're going to get bailed out. I'm sure they're going to get bailed out because they have a lot of contracts in place and things like that. But that's the big thing, is you got to build these things out quickly, efficiently, and as fast as possible as you can. I've also seen stories where companies are, I think it was Applied said that getting natural gas turbines is now looking at like 2031, right? So that's how long lead times you're having on some of these equipment items. And if you have the power, that's a big plus for you, because you don't need those turbines. But if you don't have the power and you're trying to get the power as quickly as possible, you're going to be holding it, or you're going to be waiting for a while. Or you're going to be going across borders and trying to get stuff from Europe, from maybe Asia, places like that, which we've seen with also from XAI, right? They're buying all of these gas turbines to power their Colossus data centers and things like that. But they're able to get those within, relatively quickly here, within like next 12 months or so. So that's a lot better. But you also have the backing of Elon Musk. So when Elon Musk wants something, he's going to be able to do it. He's going to be able to flaunt the money that he has, and he's going to get it done, right? Where some of these companies don't have that optionality or that privilege to be able to do that. So like I keep saying, build as fast as you can, execute, and deliver on your promises and get it up and running as fast as possible for your customers there. All right, that's it for that one. Cleanspark here provided us with an update on their production for December here. So it was a nice improvement overall from the Bitcoin they mined from November to December. And here's what we have here. So this is a quote here from Matt Schultz, the CEO there. We grew Bitcoin production more than 10% year over year, despite ongoing network difficulty increases. Our operational strength and active monetization strategies are creating a durable foundation as we advance AI infrastructure plans in Georgia, Texas, and beyond. We are making strong progress with potential tenants and will continue pursuing strategic energy opportunities to support long-term portfolio growth. That was great to hear that. I was hoping that they would put something in there in the press release that they are, talking with tenants and they're having good, strong progress, which is good. Love seeing that. When will we get a deal? No. I'm guessing probably in the first half of the year, maybe if we're lucky. If not, we'll get it in the second half. But all of that stuff takes time, and these companies have to do their due diligence on the sites, and any plans that are provided, things like that. It takes time. All this stuff takes time. So here's what we have for December production update for them: 622 Bitcoin mined for the year. They mined 7,746. Operational hash rate is still 50 exahash rate at the end of the year. Average operation hash rate for December was 47.2. Peak efficiency of deployed fleet was 16.07 joules per terahash, which is really good also. And then Bitcoin Treasury metrics, they increased their HODL a little bit here to 13,099. Total Bitcoin sold was 577. And total U.S. proceeds from the sale was 51.4 million. Average price per Bitcoin sold was 89,000. Obviously, Bitcoin came down quite a bit in December as well. So they didn't help. So I think we had like 2 months or 3 months of downward pressure on Bitcoin price here. We'll take a look at that later on, probably this week, how that has played out. Power portfolio right now, 1.45 gigawatts under contract. 808 of that is currently being only utilized. So they still have roughly 642 gigawatts that's quickly available to power up other things. Okay, so there's that. If we look at their chart here, that's not right. We want Cleanspark. We want Cleanspark here. So currently, their market cap is about $3 billion as it is. Stock price $11.93. They've had mixed results here over the last 12 weeks. They're down 40% from 12 weeks ago. They're up 5% from 8 weeks ago. They're down 17% from 4 weeks ago, and they were up last week about almost 6% there. Currently, hash rate installed 50 exahash. Future hash rate, they were talking about getting another 10 exahash installed earlier in the year. We don't know if that's going to happen still in 2026. Maybe, maybe not. Depending on if they get some good deals for AI, they may not happen there. Bitcoin HODL right now is valued about 1.2 billion as it is, with Bitcoin price being where it's at. That's about 39% of their HODL to market cap value. Each share is about $4.66. Bitcoin mine production here increased to 622. That was a nice increase, about 35 from the prior month, so that was good. It was also an increase from August as well. And why didn't this update for me? Hold on. Why am I seeing August here? On that one, let me double check here really quick. That one's okay. Is it the other one that's not up there? It should be up there. Why is this showing? That is weird. Hold on. Bear with me. Let's see here. Now it's going down. Oh, I gotta pull this down. Okay. That should hopefully fix it. December. There we go. Okay. So now that makes sense. As far as revenues are concerned here, revenues did come down here. Bitcoin price has been coming down, obviously, as well. The production has been coming down also, as they've been kind of stable at 50 exahash right now as it is. As you all know, as Bitcoin continues going forward, the network hash rate increases, and if Bitcoin price is not going along with the network hash rate increase, their revenues are going to continue to go down unless they're actually growing their own self hash rate. Okay, so that's kind of what we would expect to see, and sure enough, that's kind of what we're seeing here. It is still quite a sizable dip here from the high in July where they were at 77. We're now down to 55, so that's roughly 22 million, roughly. A decrease in that, and that's a result of network hash rate for Bitcoin going up, price going down as well. That doesn't help. So we need that to improve as well. We need at least Bitcoin price to improve. Bitcoin HODL has continued to increase here much more slowly here recently. They've been selling a heck of a lot more here, which is nice because that way they're not diluting shareholders. And then BTC per exahash efficiency also improved for them to 12.4 there. Going down here, institutions did increase to 523, slight increase there. Shares also increased a little bit to 222 million now. It's 87.2% owned by institutions. We still have the 8 strong buy ratings, 3 buy ratings, 0 hold, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price targets stayed the same for the high at 30. The average went up a little bit to 23.27, and the low stayed at 14. The same amount for the month of, let's see here, December. We had them operating about 29.162 days out of the month on their entire fleet. More or less, that got us to the 53.341 million in total. So based on that, if we take that, multiply it times 12, right, to get their annual run rate, more or less for Bitcoin at 50%, I'm at $19.49. And at the higher end at 29.23, they're at 11.93 right now. Yeah, I'd say they're undervalued currently. Okay, when they were just at $23 here not too long ago, that was more of a fair valuation for them. But everything's come back down here as it is right now. Now they come out with a deal or something like that for one of their sites, and whether it's Georgia, Tennessee, or Georgia, I think Tennessee and Texas. If one of those sites gets a deal, the stock's gonna be off to the races at that point. So it's just a matter of time. Right now, in my opinion, this is just purely my own opinion, this is kind of like a buying opportunity, right? But not financial advice. All right, so that's that one. As far as what can they do going forward, I mean, continue to operate the way they have. Continue to work on obviously getting AI partnerships or deals, co-location deals, whatever those might be. Possibly also look into being their own neo cloud provider. That's another possibility there. They do have a lot, right, of HODL, 1.2 billion. They could use that very opportunistically to buy some GPUs, put them in there for their, and then make it their own cloud services, potentially. Okay, so that's it for Cleanspark here. Next, we're going to take a look at Hive really quick. So Hive also provided their end of December production update here. They state here, Hive continues to operate at more than 2% of the global Bitcoin network hash rate, underscoring the company's scale, reliability, and disciplined execution across its globally diversified fleet. They did a fantastic job in 2025 growing. One of the things that I always harped on them about them was their lack of ambition and growth. They've always kind of wanted to maintain 1% of the global network hash rate. I thought that was too low. I thought they needed to grow a little bit more, and sure enough, they did that very, very well here in 2025. So for December, they produced 306 Bitcoin. They had a 197% increase year over year. So they had 103 Bitcoin in December 2024, while Bitcoin mining difficulty increased 40% year over year for the month of December. And then strong month over month is 6% and quarter over quarter 23% growth, reflecting rising hash rate and improved fleet efficiency, which was true. And then hash rate averaged at 23.3 exahash. I believe that they're still, they peaked at 24 exahash, but I believe that they're still at 25 exahash installed fully right now as it is. Expansion growth outlook here. So Hive intends to develop an additional 100 megawatts of hydroelectric powered data center capacity at its Yaguzi campus in Paraguay, with full commissioning targeted for calendar Q3 2026. Long lead time substation components have been ordered. The company will deploy the capacity using a disciplined return on invested capital framework, optimizing free cash flow from green energy powered data center infrastructure. And upon completion, Hive's renewable energy footprint is expected to reach approximately 540 megawatts, including 400 in Paraguay and 140 megawatts across Canada and Sweden there. So good things are happening here for Hive as well, which is good to see. As you guys recall, maybe not, maybe so, but Hive has been one of these companies that was like one of the first ones to go public on the Canadian Stock Exchange back in 2017. So if you go back all the way that far, you've seen them through these cycles in the past, and they've always improved each time. They're still smaller, right, company compared to others. And one of the things that I'm not really harping on them, I'm just saying that it could be a possibility where the stock hasn't done that well is because they don't have any operations in the United States. That's the only thing I can think of right now. All right, let's take a look at them, see how they did here on the charts and everything else. So Hive has 724, almost 725 million market cap right now as of today. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been not great, right? 52% down from 12 weeks ago, down 17.5 from 8 weeks ago, from 4 weeks they're down almost 11%, and then last week they were up just a little bit, 0.37%. Nonetheless, you can see how the production has been improving here over basically since April of last year, right? They were 102 and at that point, and they got all the way up to 306 here now in December. So continued increases in that, which is fantastic to see here. Bitcoin HODL, I'm guessing they don't have anything here. They haven't reported anything in a long time, so I took that out this at the end of December here. Revenues also 27.23 million here for December. They've been coming down also as Bitcoin price has been coming down, even though they've been mining more. So network hash rate has also been increasing in difficulty. Bitcoin price coming down, that's a result of that. Bitcoin HODL, like I said, not sure what they own. I think they're at 0. And we got them at 25 exahash right now as it is. No growth here in the last month here. So they had growth in November, zero growth in December there. Bitcoin sold here. I'm guessing sold everything there. Bitcoin per exahash efficiency, really efficient, 12.24. Nice improvement there as well. And then going down here to institutions. Institutions did increase a little bit for them as well. 176 now. Number of shares actually went down a little bit to 70.17 million, as well with the percentage to 32.7%. We do have now, however, 7 strong buy ratings instead of 6. And we now have 1 buy rating and then 0 holds, 0 performs, 0 sells. Price target for the high stayed the same at 11. The average stayed the same at 844, and the low went down to 650 here for some reason. So the average went down, probably because the low went down to 650, so the average went down to 844. Okay, still. Going down here for the month of December, I had them operating for 28.68 4 days out of the month, which is still really, really good there. And based on that, we had them obviously generating approximately, what was it, 27.225 million. All right, so based on that, plus some additional revenue that they're getting in from their GPUs right now for AI and compute, we currently have their annual run rate at about 347 million. Based on that, with a sizable discount on the PE at 10 here, I have them between $7.34 and $11. That's kind of in line with what the analysts are also looking at, $11 to $6.50 on the lower end side of things. So again, like I said before, I think it might be because they don't have any operations here in the United States. I think that might be the only clutch reason why they're not being properly maybe valued to where they should be, right? They're currently at $3.06. I think they are undervalued. And that's, like I said, even with the discount here on the PE multiple. So for them, I'd like to see them maybe start some operations in the United States. Get some sites, do something. I think they need to do that. I think investors, institutions are looking for that. You can also see that in the numbers here. When it comes to institutions percentage, we're at 32%. That's definitely on the lower end side of things for them compared to other companies that have operations in the United States. You see those guys, 60, 70, 80% institutional ownership here. So I think if they do that, that would be a good thing for the company there. And we'll see if they can do that or not. Right now, they're building out their sites in Canada and Sweden as well towards AI. Maybe that's going to be enough. Maybe not. Time will tell. But I love the fact what they've done here this past year. Fantastic growth in 2025. That definitely helped them out as well. And, wish them all the best here in 2026 as well. All right, so that's Hive there. Let's take a look at the last one here that we got, Riot here. Riot was a little bit of a surprise for me, to be honest with you guys. You'll see in a second why. You guys probably saw that as well. But Bitcoin produced was here 460 there. In December, a nice improvement in November. They also increased their hash rate here. We'll take a look at that here in a second here. But Bitcoin held is now down to 18,005. They had 19,368 in November. They sold quite a bit. So they sold 1,818. This was quite a surprise to me there. That's a lot more than they've been selling here recently. It's basically, what is that? Roughly 4.5 months worth of Bitcoin production basically sold here in 1 month here. So that's sizable. So they sold 161 million there at approximately 88,870,000 per Bitcoin there. Deployed hash rate increased to 38.5. So that was good to see there that they're still installing machines. Power credits also went up quite nicely here to 4.9 million. Demand response credits went up, stayed the same at 1.3 million from the prior month. Total power credits increased nicely to 6.2, and all-in cost for power was 3.9 cents per kilowatt. Fleet efficiency 20.2 joules per terahash. They are a little bit on the higher end when it comes to their competition here on those things. And that's it. I got for that. If we look at Riot here really quick. Riot currently has a market cap of 5.6 billion, being priced at $15.27 here. We can see the performance of the last 12 weeks has been a little bit better than others maybe. They're only down 30% from 12 weeks ago, up 1.5 from 8 weeks ago, down 7.5 from 4 weeks ago, and then last week they were up 5.36%. Current hash rate 38.5, future hash rate about 43.3 exahash I think is what they're targeting. So they have a little bit more hash rate growth to go there. Bitcoin right now is valued at 1.6 billion that they hodl there. That's about 29% of their market cap right now. Production for Bitcoin, 460. Nice little increase here from the 428, so 32 more Bitcoin mined here in December, which was nice. Revenues, however, continue to go down here. Their best month was back in July. Even though they've been installing some more machines here over time, the network hash rate going up, Bitcoin price coming down as a result of that. And then you can see here the Bitcoin hodl, how that was growing to 19,368 in November, and then a big drop here down to 18,000. Not sure what the cash was used for from the sale of that, whether that was to, well, I don't know, I'm not going to speculate. but they didn't provide that information as far as what that was used for. Hash rate, we talked about that, increased to 38.5 here, right? They sold quite a bit of Bitcoin there. BTC per exahash efficiency is pretty good, 11.95. On that, going down here to institutions, we have now 628 institutions, so institutions are still buying into them. Number of shares also went up to 297.6 million. Percentage owned actually went down to 73.96. That leads me to believe that there's been some dilution happening here, if the numbers are correct. Because we were at 79% here with 293 million. We got more shares now, but less percentage owned, so I'm guessing there's some dilution happening here in the fourth quarter. As far as ratings are concerned, we now have 13 strong buy ratings, so that's down from the 14, and we have now 5 buy ratings, so that's up from the 4, so that's kind of where the change happened. 0 holds, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price target stayed the same for the high at $42. The average went down to $26.44, and the low went down to $16. So that's a result of that. For December here, we installed approximately, 6,760 machines here to get them to the 38.5 exahash. They were operating on everything else for approximately 28.423 days out of the month, which is really good for them as well. So operations have improved here, and that got us to the 40.927 million in revenue for them. Using that times 12 months, right, annual run rate, what does that get us to? Well, that gets us to about 491 million there. At this point, I have them between 991 and 1486 based on that. They're at 1527. So I think they're getting more priced on the possibility of an AI deal with somebody. They've been targeting that, or they've been talking about it since last year, back in December, or not, so it wasn't actually, back in 2024 of December, November, not last year of 2025. They've been talking about it for like a full year now, about working on getting an AI deal with somebody for that long. So that's good there. They're probably getting closer to some sort of a deal, I would imagine. That being that's almost a year, we've seen some deals take that long to get finalized. So I think we might see something here maybe in Q1 for them. If not, I would highly expect something by Q2 at that point. If they don't get it at that point, something they're not doing something right at that point. All right, so I still think, I would say they're fairly valued right now as it is, based on this, right? They might, the analysts have a much higher. So the analysts are definitely pricing in much higher revenue potential for them than what I'm seeing here, at least right now. And we're not seeing that with other companies as well. So some of the other companies are not getting that benefit, potentially like they are, which is okay, right? They have CORZ kind of site. They also have, what's the other site that they have there? I'm drawing a blank on it right now. There's another site that they have. You guys know what site that is. It's the main site that they have the Bitcoin mining at. That's right next door to BitDeer's site, I believe. I'm drawing a blank on it right now. But they got the nice 2 sites. They have approximately, 2 gigawatts in development, right? Let's see here. Maybe we can see it in here if it's in here. 3, Rockdale. There we go. Rockdale facility was the other one. Rockdale, Corsicana as well. And then they also have a small one in Kentucky, I think. But yeah, I like what they've done this year as far as growth is concerned in Bitcoin mining. They've also started selling this year, which is nice to see. So they're covering their expenses that way, so they now don't have to dilute as much, which is good. And then, if they can get a deal for AI, which the stock seems like is pricing that in right now, that there's a deal coming, the good things will probably happen to Riot there if they can do that. Now, the other thing is they got to get their stock-based compensation for the management there under control, which they said they will by the end of the first half there. So that's going to be a good thing because, as we all know, a lot of these guys here in Riot and other companies as well have been, lining their pockets books while the shareholders have been kind of beaten down here. So they definitely need to do that. And when they got flack from not only us, but they also got flack for it from the institutions, calling them out on it, that your compensation packages are over exuberant. But yeah, so we'll see how they do going forward, and we'll leave it at that. Let's get into Q&A here. As always, the spreadsheets and everything else, I'll get that updated for the Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description. If you want to join, help support what I do, it's a couple bucks a month, and you get access to this, plus the wonderful Discord server that we have with a bunch of great people there as well, providing their insights, their thoughts, their trading strategies, all that stuff. And that's all a part of it there. Okay, that's it. Let's get into Q&A here. We'll call it a day. See what you guys have to say. As always, questions, if you could preface those with a question mark or a Q, I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to work my way up and work my way down as always. and we'll get through all of them. Whether it takes me half an hour or it takes me an hour and a half, we'll get through them all. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, John asks, hey Seb, how are you? Would you buy Hive? In 2022, Hut and Hive were around $5 today. Hut is 58, Hive 3. Do you believe Hive management is worth an investment? So we kind of talked about Hive a little bit, right? I think them not being in the United States might be a little bit of a negative, I guess, maybe there when it comes to institutions and things like that, getting into the stock. So maybe that might limit the amount the stock goes up. I could be wrong on that. Hut 8 is also a completely different animal right now as it is compared to where it was back then, right? Hut 8 had operations in Canada. They had issues with their sites, and then they merged with, was it USBTC, I think it was? I'm getting American Bitcoin and USBTC mixed up. I think it was USBTC that they merged with. They basically kicked out the prior CEO, put the new CEO that was part of US Bitcoin there, USBTC. He's transitioned the company, I think, into a much different company than where it was before, right? I wouldn't say they got rid of it, but they moved their Bitcoin mining operations into American Bitcoin. They're more into now development of sites and things like that. So they're a different company, they're a different beast. They're a much bigger company than they were when it was Hut 8 at that point. They also did a reverse stock split with the merger, right? So that was, I can't remember if it was one share for 5 shares, I think it was, something like that, or maybe even higher than that. But that's maybe why we're seeing, obviously, they're being valued anyways right now higher in market cap. But they have much more megawatts and they have much more operations in the United States. I think they're all, well, they do have some sites in Canada, but majority of the operations are now in the United States. And that was largely to US Bitcoin, USBTC. So for that reason, I think that's why there's a huge disconnect between where Hut is right now being valued at and where Hive is. But as far as Hive, I think Hive is undervalued. I think Hut is now maybe slightly overvalued to maybe largely overvalued, right? Revenues have not been great, but they are obviously got the contract for AI here for, what was it, 15 years, I think. So that's going to start generating revenue for them. That's going to be good for them. And yeah, that should probably help them out. That's kind of the way I see things, at least right now. Let's see. Neil says, I bought back into Hive and Bitfarms since I'm Canadian and all. Still hoping Trump takes RPM like he did in Venezuela. So yeah, so your stock market can go up 100%. That's not, I wouldn't say that's fair then. Let's see. John says, BitDeer is interesting. It is interesting. BitDeer is definitely interesting. Another one that has a lot of different things that they're doing, right? They're doing their own ASICs. They got sites in Asia. They got sites here in the United States. They got a lot of megawatts coming online as well in 2026 and 2027 and 2028, I believe, as well. So they have a lot of possibilities there. I always say this about BitDeer, maybe wrongfully so, but like we've heard before, there's maybe some ties to China. I don't know, right? I have no proof of that, but stock has definitely not. That's what actually did really good here earlier this year. Then had a huge pullback down. So I don't know. I mean, it could be one of those sleepers that just one of these days wakes up and goes in a nice tear. Which we've seen it do that already as it is. Let's see. Daryl says to Neil, he might. Canada has all oil too. Oh, well, yeah. Sadie, thank you so much for the thumbs up there and the likes as well. Neil says, drill, baby, drill. Let's see. BA2, good day, Seb. Low volume day. Waiting for news. Applied reported after the bell, and the results beat estimates, which is good, right? And I saw a little bit of that. I think Applied said that the gas turbines, to get those is like a waiting time until 2031, which is crazy. Okay. Daryl, would you buy more Mara or BitDeer if you currently had to choose? Honestly, I'd probably buy BitDeer. Mara has, the management's got to probably change there, I think. They got to shake things up in that company. They have not done nowhere near as well as they did in 2021. But we had signs. We had signs, and we talked about those signs all throughout the last 3 years. And that's the reason why I never got into Mara. It's just the things that I saw. I would say maybe BitDeer. Mara is attractive price for the amount of Bitcoin they hold. That's the only reason why, right? They're not really getting priced on the Bitcoin they hold. I mean, their MNAV, yes, they have a lot of debt. They got the debt, and then are they really being that undervalued? Maybe not. Operations have been all over the place for them as well. So they need to fix a lot of things. Let's see here. BA2 with MS allowing E-Trade accounts to trade, hold Bitcoin IM careers. What the advantage trade-off will be doing it this via using IBIT. Well, it's Bitcoin, right? So you get actual Bitcoin. It's not an ETF. I think eventually they were going to make it in kind for IBIT. I don't know if that still in the works or if that got done. I don't think that got done. But they were supposed to be making that in kind, so where you could possibly sell IBIT shares and get Bitcoin back if you wanted to, or yeah, something like that. I think you could convert it over. I think they were working on it. I don't think it's done yet. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But that's the main difference there. So you could take your Bitcoin off E-Trade, put it onto your hardware wallet, take it across borders wherever you want. You know, whatever you have 20,000 in it. Here in the United States, you take it somewhere else, and that 20,000 could be worth, you know, $1 million of something. You could live like a king probably for a couple of years. So that's the benefit there. MJ says, hey fam, Happy New Year to you as well. All right, let's see. MJSS, Seb, are you still positive on Cleanspark for 2026? Yes, I am. How does this company rank relative to the other miners transitioning to co-location? Will they make it before the bear market wipes them out? Thoughts? Okay. How do they rank relative to the other miners? They're a little bit late to the party, which is okay. They were late to the Bitcoin mining party as well, but then you can see how well they did here in the last 3 years, becoming one of the top 3 Bitcoin miners in the space. So execution-wise, I think they can execute if they put their minds to it. So I'm not really worried about that. They do have great sites around Atlanta, Georgia, that they can, you know, transition those into AI compute sites, and relatively quickly too, within probably a year and a half if they wanted to. They're also being aggressive here in Texas. It seems like they got a site in Texas here recently. They're looking at other sites as well, and that's one of those things that they're going to need to do. They're going to need to get sites that can be powered on relatively quickly, because time is of the essence when it comes to these deals. Building this stuff out, it's a race. It's a race right now. So they're like I said, they're a little bit behind from the others, right? From Cypher, IREN, TeraWolf, and others as well. They're in the space. Hut 8. They're a little bit behind, but I trust the management there. So I think they'll do great there. And then will they make it before the bear market wipes them out? Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have a bear market here this year. Right? I still think we're gonna have an extended cycle with Bitcoin, which will help them out, not only them, but also IREN, Cypher, others that are still mining Bitcoin. That'll help them pay some of those expenditures when it comes to building these data centers out. All right. Rob says, it would be hilarious if Trump captures on Prime Minister of Canada, and like how he did the leader of Venezuela. Mark Carney is so corrupt and so not the people's choice to be leader of Canada. I'm not going to get into it because I don't live in Canada, but even if I did, I probably wouldn't get into it, right? Because everybody's got their own little different opinions there. And there's always some truth to everything. Daryl, question, what part of my risky side wants to buy some Argo shares? Thoughts? Hopefully it's a very, very small side of you. Argo, I'll be surprised, like I said before, if they survive this year. Yeah. All right. Daryl, would you currently invest in Kango? Currently, as a speculation, as a maybe a gamble, a slight gamble, but I wouldn't put much into it. Kango right now, what are they valued at? Let's take a look at my numbers here for Kango. Let's see here. Okay, so they're valued about $583 million, right? Stock is at $1.52 as it is. The big thing here for them is they don't have any, well, I shouldn't say any. They have one site, I think, that they purchased, which is like 15 megawatts. Everything else that they do is hosted through other companies. So their profit margins are not that great. Okay, they have a smaller team, which is fine, right? They're asset light now. They have been stacking their Bitcoin there. That's valued at $631 million. So that's even worth more than their market cap right now is. But with not having any sites, or not having a lot of their own sites, that's going to be costly to them, I think. I still have them between $1.97 and $3.29, and that's with a pretty sizable discount of P of 8 there compared to others in the space, because they're so asset light, right? And also not owning Bitcoin has not been a premium to this company here in the last year plus, I would say year and a half maybe. So they could use that Bitcoin hodl to possibly buy sites, which I think they should. Because if you can't control your destiny and you don't have control over your sites, you can't control your own destiny. So I would maybe put down a little bit, not much, you know, a couple $100, maybe 1,000 or two or something like that. See where it goes. You could double it, you could maybe triple it, maybe it goes even more than that, depending what they announce. But this is one that's, are they Chinese based or are they Singapore based? I can't remember. Probably have to look at that. So that's one of those things that, you know, be prepared to lose everything, if anything. Let's see. Uncle Satoshi said, let's go Mara. Okay. Mara's got to make some changes, I think. Rob, BTC price sure dropped lots this evening. We're down to 90,982. We're not too bad. We're still okay. D-Rag, question, Dr. Seb. I'm tired of Riot. Been holding since summer of 2022. Yet I feel it's going to pop soon, 6 to 12 months to anywhere between 40 and 100 per share. What's your thoughts? I mean, the analysts have it targeted at, let's see, you're right. I think it's $40, right? What is it, $40, 40 some dollars? $42 for the analysts. If they get a deal, then yes, I could see that going up to, depending on the deal, right? We could see them quickly going back up to like $25, $30, something like that. But it depends also on the deal. If they get a huge deal or something like that, or if they start going their own route, again, like IREN has done their own route of buying GPUs and getting customers in there to use them, we can see the stock go up as well at that point. So $40 to $100, I'd be honest, I'd be happy if it gets, you know, for you guys to like the 40s, 50s. $100 is quite the extreme there on that part, but you never know. So I think it's possible, but they got to get a deal with somebody there for AI or go their own route as well. Okay, and there's that one. Let's see. Okay. All right, Rob asks, why did Bitfarms drop? I mean, everything dropped today, so not really any issues there. Brett PG says some of these miners really turned out to be poop turds. I mean, depending when you got into them, maybe for some people they got into them at a higher price. But if you got into them any time in the last, I would say 2 years or so, when they were, you know, getting the lows or something like that, you're probably doing really, really good right now. Let's see. So, do you own any XMR? XMR, was that the one that's I'm drawing a blank on it right now? They changed it to another ticker symbol. Oh God, what was that one? Not Cardano. Not, jeez, what the heck was that one? I'm drawing a blank right now. There was, I think it was XMR, and then it changed over to something else that I had, but I actually ended up selling it at a loss a while back. So I don't own that one right now. Daryl says, appreciate all your feedback as always. You're very welcome. XMR, Monero, okay. Was it Monero? Was XMR Monero? There was another one. XML. Was it XML? What was the other one that was, gosh, I'm drawing a blank on it right now. This is going back a couple of years, so forgive me on that one. I have not owned Monero, no. And you say it hasn't changed. Yeah, Monero has not changed, but I was thinking of somebody else or some other coin. Gosh, what? Stellar. Stellar is the one I'm thinking of. Stellar was the one I was thinking of. Yeah, XLM is Lumens, and there was Stellar. Stellar was the one that I had. Brett says the real private crypto and protocol level, McAfee said, is the only good currency. I'm not sure. I'm not a, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not an expert when it comes to those coins, altcoins, and all those things. I trust in Bitcoin. Ethereum is probably my second best guess as having some utility there. You can go along with Solana as well, right? The ones that have utility, I think, are pretty good. Zebra says you should look into it. I'll take a look into it. It's been a while since I looked at all the altcoins, to be honest with you guys. I wanted to get out of those altcoins since last cycle. Neil says, rest in peace, McAfee. Yeah, he's been, has been probably, what, 3 years now? If I'm not mistaken, that he's passed away. Yeah, he was an interesting individual for sure. All right. I think I've come up to all you guys' charts there and questions and everything else. Brett says, pull up a chart. I'll take a look at it, on my own time frame. I'm going to waste your guys' time here. Real Ruggedy asks, when alt season? I don't know if we're going to get an alt season, to be honest with you guys. We have not seen an alt season at all, even with Bitcoin going from the lows of 15,500 back up to 127,000 in 2 years. Alt season, I mean, people got burned on so many of these freaking scams that were out there, rug pulls and everything else, that retail just is like, I think, done and over with it. You still have some people that are diehards and they will invest in these things and they'll try to trade them. But man, it's been rough on those things. So I don't know if we're gonna have an alt season. That's just my thoughts on it. I could be wrong. But yeah, that is it. We'll call it a day. It's already 10:35, so we're going on close to an hour there. Wish you guys a great night. Thank you so much for coming in. And as always, we'll cover whatever happens tomorrow as well. I'll try to find some good news stories out there in this space. Sometimes it's a little difficult, but we try to find it there anyways. And I greatly appreciate you guys coming in. So thank you so much. Love you all. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, bye.